Dragon Drive is a new IP being developed by Nintendo for the Switch 2 that made great use of the mouse controls that are found in the new Joy-Con. And listen, every console has to have that one new quirky IP. A lot of people are looking at Dragon Drive and saying, oh, that's gonna be the Nintendo Switch 2's version of ARMS. This is the ARMS of the Switch 2 era. Having played at Dragon Drive at the Switch 2 event in New York City last week, I think a much more fair comparison is that Dragon Drive is like the Switch 2's version of Flip Wars. Anybody remember Flip Wars? No? Exactly. So today we are talking about Dragon Drive, this strange new IP from Nintendo for the Switch 2. Of course, if you are new here and you enjoy Nintendo Switch 2 coverage, reviews, previews, all that fun stuff, I would appreciate you subscribing. Let's get into it. Okay, so what actually is Dragon Drive? According to Nintendo's own website, they are touting it as the next generation of 3-on-3 sports for Nintendo Switch 2, where you hold each Joy-Con 2 controller like a mouse for tight control of both of your wheels as you speed around the courts, raise your hand, and flick your wrist to shoot and score. Team up with or take on friends and players from around the world online in fast-paced 3-on-3 matches. And you know what? That sounds harmless enough. It's a good idea to have a game that really use the mouse controls of the Switch 2 in a unique way. However, the key difference when comparing it to ARMS, the new IP of the Switch 1, ARMS could be played with a controller. Most of my time spent playing ARMS was with a Pro Controller using the sticks to punch. That is easily how I spent most of my time playing ARMS. With Dragon Drive, it is force controls, at least as far as we can tell. I don't really see how this would work using regular button controls. Maybe we will find that out later, closer to release, but as it stands right now, it seems like it is only playable using the mouse controls, which makes sense because it is designed entirely around it. And yeah, I mean, it's a weird concept. You're in these wheelchairs that apparently Nintendo employees have been trained to call vehicles and not wheelchairs, which is funny. But you're just sliding around these courts, shooting hoops, trying to get scores. You can ram into other players to make them drop the ball. It honestly, like, as a tech demo or like as a mode in another game, it's pretty fun. And I feel like maybe this started as a Switch Sports mode or something, and they decided, well, this is a little weird. We don't want to have a Switch Sports mode that is entirely based on the Sportsmates or the Miis being in wheelchairs, so they kind of spun it off and made it its own thing. From what I played of it at the New York event, it is kind of fun. However, the controls are definitely going to be a barrier of entry. Just from like the 15-minute demo I got to play, most of which was practice, by the way. It was a very long tutorial here. Even in this demo, when I got into a real match with my friends and other players at the event, it's intense. It was very surprising how fast they want you to be moving the Joy-Con back and forth and, you know, picking it up and flicking your wrist, slamming it back down on the table. I honestly worry a little bit about the Switch 2 Joy-Con durability. I mentioned in my preview for the console itself, but holding it, like the console itself with the Joy-Con attached, it feels very sturdy. So I'm not saying like, oh, I felt like the Joy-Con are gonna bust immediately, but I mean, this is way more intense than anything I ever did with any Joy-Con. And because you're making such fast movements with your wrists, you know, shooting the ball, but also picking the Joy-Con up and like kind of, you know, rolling him back like this. I don't know how best to describe it. Your wrists actually get tired pretty quickly. I was talking to a few other people that played the game there, and they were like, yeah, dude, my wrist, like, I feel tired now from that 15-minute demo. So this isn't a game I would recommend playing in long durations unless there is some sort of other control option. The very concept of it being a basketball game where you're in a wheelchair and you're using both Joy-Con to move your wheelchair wheels, it feels very Wii U coded to me in that they didn't have any better ideas for what to do with both Joy-Con as a mouse. There are plenty of games that can use one Joy-Con, like a right mouse, like you would see on PC, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond as a pointer, right? That makes a lot of sense. Mario Party even was a game I played with mouse controls, and the new minigames there are pretty fun. This feels like, okay, well, both Joy-Con can be used as a mouse. What are we gonna do with it? And someone at a board meeting was like, what if you were in a wheelchair and you're playing basketball? That's a game, right? Like, they gave both Joy-Con mouse sensors, and then they didn't really know what to do with that. It felt very much like a Wii U gamepad kind of shoehorned in gimmick. In this case, it is an entire game based around that gimmick. And also, just a brief aside, I'm not really understanding why Nintendo is so obsessed with like games where you're in like this void courts, and then you have a ball and you shoot the ball into either the soccer goal or the basketball hoop. We saw it with Metroid Prime Blast Ball on the 3DS back in the day. We saw it with Switch Sports Soccer, which, I mean, to be fair, that's literally soccer. But now we're getting it again with Dragon Drive. It's like they just won't let this idea die. They really want to make just a basketball game, Rocket League with wheelchairs, or in the case of Switch Sports, it was Rocket League with people. But it really seems like something they want to chase and make a thing. And I don't think Dragon Drive is going to be that thing because of the lack of content that we're seeing so far, and especially just the lack of visual identity and creative tone. It's weird. I never want to go into a game reveal or a demo for the first time thinking, I don't think this will be good. However, watching the reveal trailer at the Nintendo Direct and then watching the Treehouse live stream with you all on my own stream, I kind of can't believe how bare bones this is. Now, maybe there's a lot they're hiding from us, but usually when you announce a game, you want to show something interesting immediately. This game is visually so drab. It's so ugly. It's so ugly. You look at ARMS, and okay, I know a lot of people have issues with ARMS. People want to criticize ARMS for its lack of content, especially at launch. Dude, Dragon Drive has one little basketball court. That is it. And there's no characters. You seemingly just play as these like robot dudes in these wheelchairs. Like, come on, you couldn't even at least have a court that's like daytime, or maybe a different character skin where they're in like a white robot suit or like an orange one. It was also very confusing playing it because it's a 3-on-3 team-based basketball wheelchair game. That's a new genre, by the way. We're going to see a lot of these in the future, totally. But like, I was shooting my basketball towards the red hoop, but then also some of my teammates had a red outline. There was definitely some visual confusion. Even though it looks so basic, they still managed to make it like a little confusing who's on what team and what hoop you need to shoot in. Obviously, like, you know, you're going to know which hoop to shoot in based on which way you're facing when you start the match, but it definitely feels very early, and it's supposedly coming out this summer, but like, where's the content, man? Where's the personal flair? Maybe there won't be characters, maybe there won't be a bunch of lore for this game, but at least ARMS had some fun little party modes, like the basketball mode, actually. There was a mode where you, I think it was called Hoops, right? Where you take a ball and you literally, you know, launch it towards the basketball hoop in ARMS with your Spring Man and your Ribbon Girl. This seemingly only has it's just 3-on-3 basketball, and there is nothing else here. And if there were more, I feel like Nintendo would have shown it, to be honest. Maybe there's more courts, maybe there's more skins for your characters. There's one character you can see that has like the cutesy kawaii cat ears, which to me would imply some sort of cosmetics, maybe a battle pass even for those cosmetics. Something to unlock would be nice, man. I don't know. There is one thing that gives me hope that there will be some other modes to this game, and that is when you like go up a ramp and you like kind of are in the air for a little bit, you get like points, and we don't really know what that's for. There's some sort of like, not trick system, but I don't know, I was kind of getting like Tony Hawk vibes a little bit. When you go up a half pipe and you get some airtime, a little like stat thing will pop up, and I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe that has been revealed through other people's gameplay or something, but for it to be just in this big square court, I don't really see the point of that. So I'm hoping there is not like a single player necessarily, although that would be cool, but just something else beyond just the basketball. I mean, honestly, even just give me like a regular soccer mode where you just run into the ball. Give us some other sports or something, man. Though I will say, maybe I'm just too Tony Hawk brain right now with 3+4 remake coming out this summer, but imagine a game like Dragon Drive using the mouse controls, but you are like grinding half pipes and doing tricks in the air. That'd be really weird, but honestly, just give me Dragon Drive and make it a combo-based, arcadey, Tony Hawk Pro Skater kind of game. That would be a lot of fun. I will say, we're talking about how there's only this one court for actual playing. The tutorial does have like a level, kind of. It's still in this drab, sad, dark warehouse, but there is like pathways and stuff in the tutorial. So honestly, biggest hope for Dragon Drive. Can't believe I have to say this. My biggest hope is that there's just some content, man. It's weird to announce a game in your console, you know, reveal events and not elaborate any further, especially when this is a game that we actually got hands-on time with. We saw them play it on Treehouse, and they haven't said, yes, this will have content. If it were going to have some sort of substantial modes or anything else to unlock, they would have said so, because seemingly after Donkey Kong Bonanza and Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Star Cross World, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, my favorite title, supposedly this would be next, right? Because they announced it for summer 2025. So this isn't a game that's like far off. This is a game that we're going to be playing in a few months, likely. And while doing the mouse control motions can definitely get tiring, I think there is like a good, tiny little good nugget of an idea here that maybe I'll only play for one night, maybe I'll play it for a week or two, but there is something here. I think it's just a matter of what else is there to accompany it. We need something to unlock, we need something to grind for, to be honest, but also we just need some variety. This is a 3-on-3, seemingly only online game, and we don't know the pricing yet, but depending on what this thing costs, this is going to be dead so fast, and you won't be able to find matches. That's another worry too. I mean, there's not very many online-only Nintendo games. Even ARMS has, like, some single-player stuff, and yeah, I'm sure Dragon Drive will allow you to play with bots or something, right? But this might be a Nintendo game that is basically unplayable in a year or two, because I can't imagine that many people buying this, especially depending on that price. As it stands right now, until they blow me away with that Dragon Drive Nintendo Direct and that Dragon Drive playtest that shows a bunch of more content, if this game is more than $10, dude, it's DOA, it's dead on arrival. And knowing Nintendo, it's absolutely going to be more than $10. A lot of people were saying, oh, maybe it's a digital-only game. I don't know, man, because in that Nintendo Direct, when they announced the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, that interactive Switch 2 instruction manual, they said in the Direct this will be a digital-only paid title. They didn't say the same thing for Dragon Drive, which would lead me to believe that it is going to be one of their major releases that they sell for, maybe not full price, but honestly, I think it would have a retail presence at either $40, $50, God forbid, $60. I don't know, man. Listen, say what you will about ARMS. That game might have launched a little bare bones. It had so much identity. There was good music also. The music for ARMS is really good. It had a thing going for it. Dragon Drive feels like something that we should not have seen or even played, even though I think it could be fun, depending on how much is there. What we saw is so bad. I honestly think this might be one of the worst reveals of a Nintendo game, because you gotta announce something alongside it to make me care. And right now, while I want to care, I want to be excited for this new IP from Nintendo, we don't get those too often. I'm getting big Flip Wars energy. Flip Wars was that game that was in the Switch 1 sizzle reel back at the 2017 presentation, and then it came out and it was this weirdly bad Bomberman clone, and no one bought it, and it was just not good. It had no identity. I'm getting a very similar energy from Dragon Drive here, except in this case they actually put a little bit more focus on it. They had it on Treehouse. They're letting people get hands-on with it at the first playable Switch 2 experience. I don't know, man. I got bad vibes for this game, but I will try to remain optimistic. I really hope there is a lot of content there, different modes, some different courts that make it look a little bit more visually appealing. Also, like, beyond just the art direction, it kind of just looks like a Switch 1 game too, you know? You look at DK Bonanza and Mario Kart World and something like even Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment running better, or honestly, even the 4K 60 FPS patches for the Zelda games or Kirby. Dragon Drive looks really bad. Like, not the art direction, just like the model quality and everything. I think it's running at 60 FPS, which is good, but it just looks a little, it looks very unfinished. It looks like it started development a few months ago, and they were like, well, we gotta release something. Even though there's plenty of other stuff coming to the Switch 2 this year, they just had to have that game that uses both mouse controls at the same time. My final question when it comes to Dragon Drive is, who is making this? Because you try to compare it to ARMS, and you're like, okay, well, that was the team that makes Mario Kart. There is no chance that this is the Mario Kart team. It seems like something that would be done internally by one of Nintendo's EPD groups, though, because it is using the mouse controls in a way that no other game has used it. So maybe it's EPD4. I always say, like, oh, we're going to get that EPD4 game, like a Switch Sports, like a 1-2 Switch, a Nintendo Land. I guess this would be them. But even for their standards, I mean, honestly, like, this is so far below anything they've made before. 1-2 Switch even had something going for it, you know? I'm not a huge 1-2 Switch fan, don't get me wrong, but, like, that at $50 felt so generous compared to Dragon Drive and whatever it is offering so far for however much it will be. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe we just need to wait and see more, and they will blow us away with a big unveiling of content. But I don't know, man. This feels like something that should have been either just a mode in the next Switch Sports, maybe even a little tech demo in the Welcome Tour application. If it's paid and it's online only and there's no single player content, I just worry because this game's going to be dead, dude. Like, no one's going to pay full price for this, even $20. I mean, Bungie just revealed their new marathon game, and it looks visually very distinct. And even that, people are like, I'm not gonna spend $40 on this. There's too much live service slop. If people aren't willing to spend $40 on a game that looks like this, are they willing to spend however much on a game that looks like this? I don't know, man. I'm really scratching my head at the strategy when it comes to Drag and Drive. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you excited for Drag and Drive? I apologize for such a negative preview for this game, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this one. Let me know your thoughts. Subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch 2 coverage, previews, reviews, all that fun stuff. Follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames. Check out my other channel at It's Amiibo. And of course, as always, you can click on one of these two videos to listen to me ramble even more about Nintendo stuff. Until next time, folks. Peace.